Bill O'Reilly discussed the Black Lives Matter movement, and it went exactly as you'd expect.
All of these organizations, from a certain standpoint, are funded by George Soros's Open Society Foundation. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. I found that within 1 year, George Soros dedicated $33 million to these types of organizations. So they're really well funded.
So $33 million to Soros, to agitators who are organized to disrupt, and then the National Convention for the Republicans in Cleveland seems to be a target. But what about Jay-Z and Beyonce? I mean, here are two extremely famous individuals. Do you think they know that giving money to an anarchistic group like this that wants to tear down the country and, you know, was talking about genocide and really, really extreme things, do you think they have any idea what they're doing?
I do, actually. One of the activists that said that Jay-Z and Beyonce were giving tens of thousands of dollars to the movement, her name is Dream Hampton, and she was a co-writer on Jay-Z's memoir, and she's part of this Malcolm X grassroots organization that is very extreme.
Yeah, oh no, they're black. They're extreme. Malcolm X, be afraid, be scared. They don't agree with us. Ah, they must be extremists. Now, I think you guys are the extremists. I think Fox News represents a pretty extreme strain of political thought. Let me ask you guys a question. They're referencing Malcolm X. Do you think these guys know anything about Malcolm X? This is a Washington Times writer. The Washington Times is a joke right-wing publication that nobody fucking reads. You got Bill O'Reilly and you got this reporter saying, "Oh, they believe in Malcolm X. Oh, radical." If I wish I was in that conversation, I'd say, name me one thing about Malcolm X that you know. Name me one thing he believed in, one policy proposal, anything. And by the way, the idea that Malcolm X is extreme. Now, younger Malcolm X, he said a lot of things. Oh, blue-eyed devils, all white people are bad, etc., etc. Later on in his life, if you give a shit to actually learn about him, he kind of flipped on that. And he kind of became a lot more like MLK later on in his life. But the most so-called extreme position that he ever held was this idea of black nationalism, which is the idea that black people were brought to America against their will, and perhaps it would make sense that just like the Jews, for example, ended up getting Israel after World War II and the Holocaust, that perhaps it would make sense as a form of reparations and to right the wrongs that America has done to the black community to give them essentially a state. To say, hey, here's some money to get started, here's your own borders, here's a state, you can do whatever the fuck you want. And now, look, I might not agree with that position, Martin Luther King didn't agree with that position, and many people don't agree with that position, but that doesn't mean that, oh my god, it's a radical by definition, and by the way, everybody in the Black Lives Movement agrees with him. You don't know that, you just made that up. In fact, I follow the movement much more closely than these idiots do. I haven't heard a single one advocate for black nationalism. It's just, you make it up and you say it anyway, and then you scare all the old white people into thinking, oh, the blacks are extremists. And again, more shit made up. They're anarchists. Really? They're anarchists. Point me in the direction of any evidence that says that there's a significant chunk of the Black Lives Matter movement that are calling for anarchism. And if you ask Bill O'Reilly to define anarchism, I don't think he could tell you what anarchism is. And he says they want to tear down the country. They want to tear down the country in such a radical way where they stop police officers from killing unarmed black people. Tear down the country. That's what they're doing. They want racial equality and justice. They want to make it so that there isn't a disproportionate attack on the African American community, specifically when it comes to, for example, enforcement of drug laws. They want to do that, therefore, tear down the country. That's what they're tearing down the country. Now, understand, man, it's fine. Like, if you look at the Black Lives Matter movement and you disagree with some of their tactics, that's perfectly understandable, and there's reasonable disagreement there. I've seen some of the things that they've done where I say, okay, you're not going about this in a productive way, and I don't think it's the right way to try to fix the problem. That's fine, but that's not the position Bill O'Reilly and Fox News are taking. They're taking, oh, extremists, anarchists, they're like Malcolm X, they're terrible. Only on Fox News, when you reference Malcolm X, is it like a guaranteed pejorative. It has a negative connotation. Oh, Malcolm X, civil rights icon. What an asshole. And then, of course, he had to bring up Jay-Z and Beyonce because he's Bill O'Reilly. Every week he has to bring them up. I remember when he did this whole segment on, oh, Beyonce's new music video is disgusting. I watched it 4 times and beat off to it, but it's disgusting. Did I say that out loud? I didn't mean to say that out loud. The video where she's talking about he Monica Lewinsky'd all over my dress. Bill O'Reilly did segments just to lambaste that part of it. I can't believe she said that. Let's show more of the music video so everybody at home can see. If it's so bad, why are you showing it? I thought this was lewd and unacceptable, and you're showing it. What the fuck is wrong with you? Unless you're contributing to the moral decay of America, Bill O'Reilly, are you? So he's got to attack them. And when he says, oh, they fund the Black Lives Matter people, no, you know what they did? Once they paid for people, I think it was during the Ferguson protests, paid the bail of some of the people in Ferguson. That's it. There's no evidence, oh, they're, routinely, giving them money every month. Maybe they're doing it, but if that is the case, I don't know about it. There's no evidence of it, and Bill O'Reilly's talking about it as if that's the case. And the George Soros point, there's never been a single issue where Fox News disagrees with people where that movement was not funded by George Soros. Every evil liberal thing ever in the mind of Fox News, George Soros is behind that. Earlier on in the segment, you didn't see this part, but Bill O'Reilly says, funded by George Soros. And then he goes, who funds people who work closely with that movement. So in other words, they have no evidence that he's directly funding the Black Lives Matter movement. He's funding people who are affiliated with them, and we're just going to say that he funded them because, fuck it, we blame George Soros for everything anyway. We might as well continue. And the idea that that's the best they got. That's the best argument they have against the Black Lives Matter movement. Ah, George Soros. Gotcha. And? What? I thought you believed in freedom. You believed in people funding whatever kind of beliefs they, say they stand up for. You guys are the ones that argue money in politics is a fantastic thing. Here you have a guy who's spending money not even on the political process, but on a group. You're like, oh, unbelievable. Why can't we do the same thing back to you? Rupert Murdoch funding another right-wing douche outlet. And would that be a debate ender? See, Rupert Murdoch, conversation over. No, you got to go into more detail, but you don't have any more detail because they're right and you're wrong. They're trying to fix systemic problems in a constructive way, and you're saying, fuck you, you're all extremists, you're all anarchists, and you want to tear down the country. Of course, anybody who disagrees with Bill O'Reilly, by definition, just wants to tear down the country. I'm sure, Bill. Well thought out.